Delusions of grandeur, insanity. Sure, there's plenty of that. But here's what you can also hear on the Nice Guys on Business.
Smart homes, once you get used to it, you don't go back. I mean, you don't have to touch a light switch. You just walk out of the room, Alexa, turn my lights off. Lights go off in the house and you walk out the door. It's wonderful.
I don't have to touch the light switch. I've got the clapper. Clap on, clap off, you know.
I actually don't have to turn the lights off either. I just walk out. The lights are on when I come back automatically. It's the easiest thing ever. Of course, my gas and electric bill last month was $400 fucking, but yeah, I get it.
Is that the smell of Old Spice aftershave, Old Bay crab seasoning, and old sweat socks? Must be time for the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, Funkn fans. What do I usually say? It's not ladies and gentlemen. What the community, Nice Guy community. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying this morning, this afternoon, this evening.
Strickland.
I'm a mess.
You are? Are you a mess because you're nervous that we actually have a third person on the show with us today? Are you maybe a little nervous about that?
Yeah, right, because we've never done that before. Yeah, sure, I'm nervous about that.
So
my name is Strickland Bonner, Doug Sandler on the other side of the microphone, by the way.
Hi, everybody. Hey, so we, I thought we'd bring an expert into the show today. I thought I'd bring Paul Merena. Paul is a Funkn fan and has been Paul, how long have you been listening to the show?
I've been listening since day one, episode 1.
Holy shit.
Get the fuck out of here.
Since day one? Seriously, Paul?
Since day one. I looked up podcast and business. I saw Nice Guys on Business. I said, let me give it a try. Couple episodes in, I heard your hometown, Maryland. So I said, I'm sticking with the long haul.
That is crazy, Paul.
But you're still waiting for it to get good, right? Like you're
so can we?
You're only sticking around because it's from Maryland. Like I'll just give them one more episode.
Paul, so I gotta ask the obvious question to me. It's like, why, man? Why have you? So what is it that pulls you into the show? Have you heard it really every episode, or do you just kind of every once in a while you tune in?
I've heard every episode. I do have to do. I listen to all my podcasts 2 times speed because I listen to too many of them.
Okay.
So all of your shows, they're about 15 minutes for me, so I can really get through it.
Interesting. So what has created that desire to stay with the show? Is it the content? Is it the guests? Is it the stupidity? What is it exactly? I'm very curious. I'm asking this just out of complete curiosity.
It's all of the above. The interviews, the people you've had on have been great, and even connecting with a couple of the other, interviewees, I should say.
Yeah.
And then, when you guys just shoot the crap on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's hilarious, and you just kind of never know what you're going to get.
We don't either, Paul. we don't either know what we're going to get.
But yeah, it's just been a fun ride listening to you guys.
Has there been any better time? It's hard to say. Has there been a better episode than others? But has there been? We've gone through a whole bunch of I don't want to say format changes, but we used to have tech talk and we used to have different stingers and different. How many things have we gone through, Strickland?
Oh, we've gone through tons of stupid shit, but that's what it's all about. It's growing and molding and figuring out what works, right?
So, Paul, so is there any particular part that we just can't figure out why you've listened to us for 2 fucking years, man? Don't you have anything better to do with your life?
When you're driving anywhere from 800 miles a week, you got a lot of time on your hands.
Oh, geez. Yeah, you're driving a lot. You're pretty desperate for anything entertaining. That's right. Gosh.
Yeah, Doug, I'm thinking maybe we should quit while we're ahead. Yeah. It sounds like you're trying to talk them out of listening.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So so here's what happened. So Paul has come to an event. He came to the Julie Reisler book signing, which I thought was really nice. And I know that Julie certainly appreciated it. But Paul, I think we ran into you at the mall or something like that, Paul. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that with my current wife or with my ex-wife? I don't remember.
Current wife.
My current wife. I got it. So I ran into Paul at the mall and we just started talking. And I think the conversation evolved into finding out what Paul does for a living. And Paul, why don't you plug your business here? What do you do?
I work for Multicorp. We do commercial cleaning. So that's anything residential or not residential, sorry. Commercial cleaning. So anything outside retail, emptying one trash can in an office all the way up to a high rise. We do it all.
What's your position with them, Paul?
I am the vice president of operations.
All right, so you're the guy that goes around and makes sure that the jobs are actually getting done. Is that or quality control?
Yes.
Okay. How's the quality of Multicorp?
It's good. It's good. I mean, of course, you always has your ups and downs, all cards out on the table.
Yeah.
But overall, we've had a very good team, a lot of good site supervisors working for us, and a lot of good employees. And when you've been around for 30 years, you create a pretty good network.
Hey, Paul, is it family business or is it a company that you've worked for?
It is. It is family business. My dad and his partner started it 30 years ago.
That is great. So are you in line to be the big guy soon?
There's been talks, more and more talks.
Anything that we could help you out with, maybe in negotiation or anything? You're getting a free commercial here, Paul. You may as well give it a shot.
We'll hold off on that end.
Okay, that's
good.
Yeah, because
Doug, I understand that Paul's got some information on a device that does not work well or talk to Apple products at all, which of course means I love it immediately.
So the conversation. Sorry. You go ahead. You talk, Paul. I was gonna set up the story, but you go ahead and just get into it because I think this is the most interesting part of the conversation I was having with Paul.
So recently I got it all comes from when Doug was talking about how the Microsoft suites don't work well with the Apple products, and just kind of how frustrating it is. And I mean, realistically, it's going to come to that where everything is monetized, where Apple's Apple, Microsoft's Microsoft, and none of them communicate to any of them.
You think so, Paul? That's like going backwards, though. I would think that they would want everything to communicate with each other. Or you think they're purposely going to drive a wedge in there?
Well, I think they're purposely going to drive a wedge because, I mean, I have all Apple products for the most part as far as electronics, my phone, computer, iPad. And it's so hard for me to switch phones because I have all my photos in the Apple iCloud. I have all my music on Apple Music. So for me to switch carriers, I have to get rid of all that data or back it up to an external hard drive and then put it back onto a new device, which I don't really feel like taking the time. But going back to that, I got an Amazon Echo Dot.
What's that? What is that?
It's a little device. You just say, "Hey Alexa, turn on my lights," which I have lights that I can turn on by my phone, and by that it'll turn my lights on. I can tell it to turn the heat on or the air condition on. I can give me a news brief. It can read me a story. If I say, "Hey, what's in a Tom Collins?" it'll tell me the ingredients of a Tom Collins.
I'm just thinking that Paul's a little bit lazy. I'm not really sure.
They're smart homes. I mean, once you get used to it, you don't go back. I mean, you don't have to touch a light switch. You just walk out of the room, Alexa, turn my lights off. Lights go off in the house, and you walk out the door. It's wonderful.
I don't have to touch the light switch. I've got the clapper. Clap on, clap off. The clapper.
I actually don't have to turn the lights off either. I just walk out. The lights are on when I come back automatically. It's the easiest thing ever. Of course, my gas and electric bill last month was $400 but yeah, I get it. Sorry. Anyway, Paul, do you live in a big house, Paul?
No, I don't. I'm a little rancher.
You're in Maryland, right?
Yes. I just moved up to Westminster.
Oh, nice. You live in God's country up there.
I do. My wife and I, we're city folks, so it kind of is a new experience for us.
How many kids do you have? I hear a couple of them in the background.
We have one, and she has been calling for me since she woke up. So today's been a very rough day for my wife.
Jeez. Your wife is home with your daughter?
Yes.
Yeah. And you go out and work and drive your 40,000 miles a year?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I bet you don't ever want to give up that car if you have a kid yelling for you at home all the time. Anyway, so get on to Alexa. Tell me what Alexa's all about.
So Alexa can do all that stuff, but then I say, "Alexa, turn on."
Hey, by the way, Eat, Sleep, Drink, Dubai. This is not endorsement of Alexa or a review of Alexa. So go ahead, Paul.
So Alexa can do all that, and then I say, "Hey, Alexa, turn on my Apple TV." It does not want to communicate with me.
Wait, so Alexa is an Amazon product, correct?
Correct.
So is Amazon at all affiliated with, say, Microsoft or Google, or is that just a whole different product offering?
That's a whole different product offering because Amazon has the, I think, Fire Stick, which is their TV, because I can't even get we have Amazon Prime. I can't even get Amazon TV on my Apple TV because they're a competitor.
Oh,
really?
That's crazy. All right,
Yep.
wait a minute. You can't get.
So wait a minute. You have an Apple TV, so it's not like you have a stick that gives you Apple TV. You have a physical Apple television.
Does Apple make?
No.
He means
Apple
he's got Apple TV.
It's
the box.
It's just a little box receiver. And
right.
It's on Apple TV.
But then you can't like plug a Fire Stick in separate. Oh, I guess if Apple TV is your box, right? Like your cable box, you can't get Amazon Prime movies streaming through your Apple TV.
No, I'd have to go on my phone or computer and then AirPlay it through that.
So wait, I have a Roku. So on my Roku for movies, I don't have cable, but I have Roku because I can't completely be without movies. I am able to get Netflix and Amazon, but I can't get my Apple TV on my Roku. I don't think. Mm-hmm. And
you can't. No.
No. You're telling. Okay. So continue, Paul. So tell us more about Alexa.
I don't know what else.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it does. So the problem is, in your opinion, it does not communicate. So that is an issue.
Correct. But I did look up. You can buy a separate hub, and then you can have Alexa run through that hub, which will then turn on Apple TV. But I don't want 4 different products.
Right. That's a big pain in the butt. But that's always been the issue with Apple. And that is really how Apple has built their dynasty, is with the proprietary stuff. I've got a Blu-ray player, right? And it's a Blu-ray player that has Wi-Fi. And when I first turn it on, I have this list of like 100 apps, most of which I don't even know what the fuck they are, right? But it has Netflix, and it has Amazon Prime, and it has Pandora, and it has tons of really cool stuff, right? But not Apple TV, because Apple is its own thing, and they're not going to give their software to anybody else.
Yeah, but it's not. I'm looking at it from a perspective of, and again, I'm not running Apple, so I don't really know what their philosophy is, other than just knowing they have amazing products. However, what's interesting is that it's not the technology that they're giving up. They're giving up access to the movies that they have in their database. Can't they do that can't there be an Apple app on a Roku box? Why wouldn't there be?
Well, because it's all built around the Apple operating systems.
Oh,
and that's the difference between PC versus like Windows, is that, Windows and PCs have always been built on this somewhat open source. Okay. Open source is basically that anybody can use it and anybody can build it. Windows isn't technically open source because you can't look into the actual code of Windows and change it, but it's totally built on the idea that anybody that wants to write a program based on Windows or built around Windows can do it. Whereas Apple, to get something in the Apple Store, you can be an Apple developer and write an Apple app, but you have to get their approval before you can sell it at the Apple Store.
So I was having a continuing conversation with Paul just about technology in general, and I was mentioning to him, or he actually said to me, the reason I started thinking about this or telling you about this was because you guys were talking last week on one of your episodes about, wouldn't it be great if just Google came in and, because how much I hate Comcast,
Right.
So he was talking about, you mentioned that, Google should just be able to do your cable in your house. So he made something, Paul, what were you talking about with balloons? I didn't even follow that. So what's the story with Google and balloons in the internet?
So Google, they have a lot of secret divisions. Google X, they take all the world's problems and make it their own. And with that, there's 500 billion people that don't have connectivity as far as getting onto the internet. So they want to try to solve that. And what they've done is create these balloons that they launch up. And the study I found was from 2015, he's the guy that was leading Google X at the time. They have successfully put up, I don't know how many balloons. He didn't give the number, but it has gone.
Wait, your daughter's calling you.
I know.
She's telling you how many balloons are up. I'm sure she's looking at it. Right.
You mentioned balloons. A little kid wants to hang out with you.
It's very true. Very true.
How old is she?
She is 21 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know what? Soon boys will be calling on the house. Enjoy the balloons while you can, Paul. All right. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So continue.
And so they have successfully sent X amount of balloons around the world, at least 20 to 30 times. And it's all giving wireless internet, and it had connectivity all the way around the world.
Wait, what's the technology? I've only heard you say balloons. Are these balloons, do they have stuff in the balloon? Like, is it gas? Is it something that's hanging from the balloon? What is about the balloon?
All I know, they're very secretive. All they give was it's filled with helium, and then it provides connectivity through the world.
I wonder if it's like a very light space age style satellite multiplier or something like that gets a signal from a stronger satellite that it bounces off of her. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Stricky, you have any idea what he's talking about?
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I've never really looked into it, so I don't know the details of it. But yeah, it's absolutely specifically designed to provide Wi-Fi to very remote places.
And I would imagine it would have to be like they would have to put up like cell phone towers in certain areas, and then that's where it would receive the signal from, and then it would just relay the signal out to those balloons.
That's got to be pretty cool. So I was talking to Paul as the conversation was continuing, and this is why I started to say, we got to have you on the show because I don't know enough about this shit, and Eat, Sleep, Drink, Dubai is just going to yell at my ass. So I'm thinking, let's get a pseudo expert on the show that at least has read more than we have and share some of the stories. So we don't take the heat, because I'd much rather give the heat to Paul. See, Paul, once he hangs up from this connection, he's gone. Nobody can find him. But us, no, we're like walking targets all day long.
True.
So then I started talking. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I was just going to say I'm an expert in cleaning. So if you have cleaning questions, please send them to me. I'll answer as much as I can. This stuff, I've just listened to a lot of stuff and read a bunch of stuff.
All right. So by the way, Paul's business name is Multicorp, and it is a commercial cleaning service. And are you just in Maryland, or will you go anywhere, Paul?
We go southern Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, and northern Virginia as of right now.
There's got to be we know we have a vast majority of our listening audience is in the D.C. area, isn't it, Strick, based upon the stats, or no?
We have a good number of listeners in the area. Right. Yeah, definitely.
And Paul, if they wanted to get in touch with Multicorp, why don't you give either a phone number or an email or somewhere people can reach you?
The phone number is 410-876-5000. And the email address is pmerena@multicorpmd.com.
Hey, Paul, if you just send me an email with that information, we'll make sure we put it in the show notes. And Nice Guy community, if you want to take advantage of the services, just get in touch with Paul. Tell him the nice guys sent you.
And he'll charge you 10% more.
Tell them the nice guy sent you. We don't want any kickback. We just want them to know where the fucking business came from. Because if your business is dirty, and whose business isn't dirty? Okay, seriously. My business is dirty and I live by myself. I mean, I work by myself. My wife is soon going to tell me I live by myself too. I work too much. Okay, so then we started talking. Thank you, Paul, for that information, by the way. Then we started talking about Google, and then all of the advances that Google has made with photos. And then Paul, he dropped a bombshell on me. So tell this part of the story, Paul, and tell what you knew, and then what your research helped you discover then also about these photos.
From talking with a couple of friends, he was at a conference and they were doing, I don't know who exactly was speaking, but somewhere over in Europe, people were taking pictures out on like a town square. And as the photos were being taken, they were being uploaded to the projection screen. And soon enough, so many people were taking photos and uploading them onto Google that you would get the 360 view of that whole square. And then as somebody took a picture that overlapped another person, that new person would take their place.
So what's interesting about it is, and then I started saying to Paul, well, wait a minute. You mean people were taking photos and they weren't uploading them to like a site where they were doing it. They were uploading it to their Google Drive. And again, I don't know the reality of what goes on. Who owns the photos when you upload them to Google or to your Drive? Can they use those photos at all?
Not that I know of. I mean, I think maybe, Paul, you were saying you did a little research and it turns out that maybe they do.
They did, but they've changed the policy, I think, with the new Pixel phone, that I believe that they still use it for research.
What's a Pixel phone?
That's Google's new phone.
I don't know what this is. Strick?
Oh, it's called Pixel. I didn't know. Well, I know they got a new phone. I didn't know it was called Pixel. It's getting great reviews. It's supposed to be amazing.
Oh, it's so intuitive as far as technology goes. Setting appointments, updating your calendar, photos, everything like that is just the operating software is just so intuitive. As far as I know, it blows all the other stuff out of the water.
All right, so I don't want to endorse or condone what Paul is saying. I have no idea if it's the truth. If anybody in the Nice Guy community happens to know, if you take a photo, if I take a picture of with my phone and I upload it to the cloud, or there's actually a setting I believe on my phone that will automatically do it for me. Do I own that phone, or do I have, there's all a bunch of agreements that I'm signing just by filling out that little, checking off that little checkbox. At any point, am I giving up my rights to those photos? And will I potentially see those photos, what I would consider my intellectual property? Would I see them anywhere else? Do I have any legal, anything that's on my side to say those photos are owned by me?
Well, we spend a lot of time defending Google. I mean, I do because I love Google, but it is interesting because how many EULAs, like the end user license agreements, how many of those do you sign every week? And you never read through them. Nobody fucking does, right? It's just this ridiculous long thing and you trust them, right? I have to believe that as many people as upload pictures to Google on a Google Drive, that if Google started using them for other things without people's consent, forget whether they agreed to it or not. I think you would hear about it more, right? I got to believe that, maybe Google does own it, but they're not using it. Maybe they have the right to, but they haven't. Because there would be a backlash and we'd hear about it on the news and all kinds of crap like that. And Google could certainly defend themselves by saying, hey, you signed the EULA, right? And it says it's okay. But people would still be pissed. So I don't think it's happening that much. What I find interesting is it's perception. It's the context that you put a company in, right? I know with Google, obviously, when you are surfing the web, they are keeping track of everything that you search, all of your search words. And that's why they give you appropriate ads. And people are like, oh my God, Google knows what I'm saying and knows what I'm searching and knows what I'm writing. And like, Alexa, the whole thing with that. Hey, Alexa's on all the time. It's listening to every word you say.
And that's true because there was I believe it was a murder down south. I want to say Texas, that they're actually going into Alexa to get audio of what could have happened.
All right, so
okay,
that's cool. But this now begs to try to define a greater understanding of who owns all of that information. A photo, I'm going to say that I own the photo. But do I own the keystrokes that I enter into into Google when I go to search for something? Do I own the intellectual property, the stuff that is in my brain that I'm trying to figure out? Do I want to buy a product? Do I not want to buy a product? Every time I do research, every website that I click, it's beginning to know it's starting to understand my habits, right? So everything that I do, whether I am shopping at Target or whether I am looking at porn or whether I am doing whatever I'm doing online, who owns that? Can the police, can the FBI, can our government or whoever, a higher authority, go into the computer and use that information against me at a future date? I'm just very curious what the answer to that is.
So Google has all that information, and this is kind of the end point I was trying to get to about perspective and about context, right? If you believe that Google is a benevolent God above all of us that we use for our search engines, and all this information is going to do good things with or not use it in an abusive way, then who cares? I prefer to see ads that are actually centered and focused towards things that I'm searching for or want to buy. So I like it and I'm okay with it. But that's because I am presuming that Google is not going to abuse the privilege because I like Google. Now, let's say you get arrested, right? Yes, they can come and search your physical computer and you make the decision of the cookies that are still in your computer or do you clear your history? I'm pretty sure that they're not allowed to go back to Google and say to Google, hey, we need to see his searches. Because again, I haven't read the whole, 27,000 page user license agreement. But I'm pretty sure Google says this is anonymous. And so what happens is the only reason it's technically somewhat not anonymous is that it does hold on to keywords so it can present specific ads to you. But that if somebody were to come in later and say, hey, can you show us these specific keyword ads? They're built into the cookies that are in your computer. And as soon as you clear those cookies, they're gone.
What if it is for the purpose of good? What if somebody is killed and as a result of something horrific happening and they know the information that is provided in order to solve the murder or to find somebody or to free somebody is in that computer, but it's the attacker or the aggressor's computer? Should they have the right to be able to go in and look at that information without permission?
Well, that's the fine line. That's the tough one, is that, like, let's say that you are a cop or you are a lawyer and you got a guy who you know is guilty, right? And you've got all this evidence, but maybe it's all circumstantial evidence, right? Well, the law is the law, and that's why it's written the way it is, because it has to be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so, we're going to bend it a little bit. Why not? That's where you get into trouble. And so you're right that. Do we need to move that line? Maybe we do in certain circumstances, but that's the balance between safety or between freedom and security. Everybody complains. It's like, hey, the NSA is tapping our phones and they can see this and they can do that. And it's horrible. And and nobody should be allowed to do it. Well, what if they're tapping the phones of suspected terrorists, and that tapping that phone means that they're going to be able to prevent another 9/11? It's a fine line. It's a very gray area.
Paul, what's your spin on this?
It's very tough because I go back and forth with that. It is a very fine line to tiptoe around. And I mean, you can't say you want it for the good, but you don't want to give it for the bad, and vice versa.
What if somebody's health or wellness is in danger or in peril? What if something like that is a part of it? The answer is going to be obvious. It's like, yeah, we want to use this. Well, what if it is that fine gray line between what you should know and what you shouldn't know? It's really a challenging debate. I think it's one of those things that I don't know if we're ever going to find the answer to, or I don't even know if there's a right answer to it. I think that's why there's Supreme Court battles oftentimes.
Yeah, I agree. That's tough.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards the side of security because the world is a big, dangerous place, right? And in my thinking, and again, maybe if this comes back on me at some point, I may change my opinion. But let's say that I want to grant slightly more freedom to the government or to the cops or to whoever, because I'd rather be safer. And then at some point they find something to use against me, right? Well, if it was something that I said or did, well, okay. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said it or done it in the first place if they're going to use it against me anyway, right? It's like, oh, I'm upset because I got caught. Well, no, you should be upset because you did it in the first place, right? Like, you shouldn't have done it if it was something you didn't want to get caught at. So in general, I definitely lean to the side of security, and I'm okay with, a little bit more, the government having a little more knowledge, or the cops having a little more knowledge, or having like cameras on the street, right? Like, oh my God, it's Big Brother, you're spying on us. Well, somebody's security camera could videotape a murder or a rape, and we could save somebody's life with that. You know what? If the trade-off of that means that somebody could know that I'm walking down the street at midnight, well, if I don't want somebody to know that I'm walking down the street at midnight, maybe I shouldn't be walking down the street at midnight.
Well, I think it comes down to this: to be continued. This is going to be one of those. It really is. It's one of those debates that could go on. And, having Paul here just definitely makes it even more confusing because now we had a third person into the equation. Hey, Paul, we really appreciate you being on the show. You do have a lot more information than the two of us combined actually have about anything technology. So maybe, can you just be our technology pro from here on out?
From here on out, yeah.
But he's also, Doug, what you may not know,
yeah,
he's got lots of scotch.
You have a lot of scotch, Paul?
I do have a decent amount. So if anybody wants scotch, I will be more than happy to have a dram with them.
A dram? Oh my gosh. What is a dram?
Right. You see, that's how you know that, like, he's a real scotch guy. Like, I don't personally have a dram of scotch. I just fucking drink it. Right. But he pulls the dram out.
What is a dram, Paul?
It's just a finger or two of scotch.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you like it neat then? Is that right?
To be continued, because that's a whole nother lengthy conversation. It all depends on what scotch it is, the percentage of alcohol in it.
Danielle, my wife, Paul, she had an event last, I want to say it was last New Year's Eve. It wasn't just this past New Year's Eve, but the year before. And they had a scotch bar. And they had a scotch bar, and some of the scotch was, I want to say 180 proof. Is that possible? 90% alcohol? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that'd be a cask strength.
Yeah, you couldn't even, a finger of that and just put it in your mouth and you just get this, it's almost like vapor. And so you have to do you have to dilute? I hate to sound like completely ignorant, but you have to dilute that a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, so typically you want to drink scotch at about 40% alcohol. So anything higher than that, first try it, taste it, see how it tastes, see how it feels. And then after a couple sips or two, add a drop of water in there, put an ice cube in it if you want, and then that'll bring it back down to about 40%, and it'll be a nice sipping scotch.
You know what,
now, Paul, I've seen some cask strength bottles that are, 100 proof, 110 proof, but do they really make them up at 180, 170, 180 proof?
I have not seen that high. It's not saying that they can't get that high, but I have not seen it that high.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was lower than that, but I'll tell you, it was definitely well above 100 and something. It was ridiculous, and it was one of those that you couldn't even. There was no sipping it. It was just too. It was too out of control. But Strick, I was about to say, and then we'll wrap up the show here. You know what I thought of when I thought of the Scotch conversation and Paul on the show? You know what I thought?
What's that?
I thought trust fund baby. I mean, Paul, who is this guy? He comes on our show. His dad owns, how many people work for the company, Paul?
It's a couple hundred.
Wow. That's a big company.
We are definitely in company. That's why he's got Alexa, because he's fucking lazy, because he's a trust fund baby. Paul, what's up with you, man?
You know what I love? One of my favorite lines in the Gary Vee episode.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gary Vee episode.
Yeah.
When he was saying, I've got some friends that tell me I should do more charity work. And I was like, who the fuck are you? Fucking trust fund dick. Like, come on. That was hilarious. 4th generation trust fund. God damn. That was hilarious.
Paul, are you ready to take over the business? That's a whole bunch of people. Are you up for that responsibility?
I'm growing there. I'm still learning a lot from my dad and his partner. So yeah, they're grooming me nice and well. And as far as trust fund goes, no, my wife and I, we have a budget every month.
Yeah, we have a budget too. My ex-wife has a budget too, and I'm trying to stay within it for her. Hey, so the reason that I originally even had Paul on the show was because we were talking about when we saw Paul at the Julie Reisler event in Columbia, in whatever we were in Columbia, a couple weeks ago, was because we talked about doing live events, and Paul's got all of these properties that his company does the maintenance and the cleaning for. So he's got a lot of really good contacts. So he's going to actually connect this. So it's good to have a rich guy on your side, Strick.
We totally need to do this. Absolutely.
Now we're in, Paul. We're in. Whatever you need, and we'll give you all the plugs that we possibly need to.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. All right.
Paul recommended Monkey Shoulder whiskey, which I haven't tried yet, but I need to. I'm going to go get some.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a brand. Monkey Shoulder is the brand. Monkey Shoulder whiskey.
So, Paul, thanks for being a part of the show today, man.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Hey, Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Paul, Strick, good to have you guys on the show today. You ready to get out of here, Strick?
Yeah, man. Steve O'Brien, why don't you take us out of here?
Nice Guy community, what do you think of the Nice Guys podcast? Is it A, interesting, informative, intelligent business information that's really helpful? B, a couple of guys who think they're funny, but actually have an inflated perception of their own self-worth? C, same shit, different podcast? Or D, all of the above? Go with D.